Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. There's two things I firstly want to apologize, well, three things I want to apologize for before I even get into this video is any background noise you hear is all the million fans in my room because it is so hot that if I were to turn them off, I would probably get heat stroke. Second of all, that is why I'm literally in my pajamas filming this because I'm too lazy to put on proper clothing. And three, if it looks like most of the light is coming from this side, it is because I have my ring light over here because the last time I had it behind here, I almost broke it. So that's kind of the gist, but this is going to be my wrap up. If you do not know how this works, is I have, I'll first talk about my stats and goals. Then I'll go into the books that I read. I did already do a mid-month wrap-up, which I'll leave linked in the iCard and the description. That will be the first, I can't even remember how many books it was that I read when I filmed that video. I think it was like 7 or 8. If I sound out of breath, it is because I am from being hot. But let's first get in with the stats, which I just need to pull up the things. So let's first do the goals, I guess. And these goals I'm tempted to either change or remove completely from these videos because I hit most of them. So for read 3 or more genres, I read 7 different genres. For 1 or more LGBTQ books, I read 11, although 1 is more like it's mentioned in the book that the main character is, I think, canologically bi, and then the author, I believe, is pansexual, so it's like it's a little bit of rep in the book and then the author is queer, and I count it as if either the author is queer or the book is queer, I guess. 1 or more POC author, I read 2 of, to my knowledge, but there could be more. Read 1 Rick Riordan book, I haven't, but I literally have the 3rd book in the Trials of Apollo series on hold, at my library, and I should be getting that in I think it says like 2 or 3 weeks, so hopefully in July I'll be continuing with that series. And for 2 or more age ranges, I read 3. If it looks like I'm looking over there, it's because I have all the stats on my computer over here, because it's just the easiest thing for me to look at. For my stats, I read 22 books, which is a lot. Like last month I read 23 and I was like, I'm not going to get past that, but I managed to almost. I read 7,716 pages. The average star rating was a 4.3, and I DNF'd 3 books. Put it this way, the entire number of DNFs that I've DNF'd this year are 5, and 3 of those were this month. So yeah, over half my DNFs happened this month. I just realized this entire time thus far there was something on the lens, so I'm going to apologize for that. I read 7 adult books, 6 new adult books, and 9 young adult books. So over half of the books I read were new adult or adult. I blame that I read a lot of more mature books, I guess you'd call it, this month, so that makes sense. I read 2 audiobooks, 13 ebooks, 7 physical books, of which 4 were contemporary, 1 was dystopian, 9 were fantasy, 1 was a graphic novel, 4 were romance, and 2 were sci-fi. Which, that's a pretty good range. Recently, over the last few months, my range has been opened a lot, especially with like the romance and contemporary, because I've been reading more like contemporary new adult romances or like those type of things. So now into the books. If I own the book, I'll hold the book up. If I don't, I will just pop in a graphic of the book cover. So the first one that I'm going to mention is Scars by Dana Isley, and this is the one that I was saying that like technically it's queer because of the character canologically being bi and the author being pansexual, I believe. But so Scars, we follow Scarlett, who I can't remember the exact age. I think she was when she was 20, I believe. Her family sent people to murder her, and she escaped. And now I think it's 3 years later, and a group of 3 guys known as the Triad has found her and take her as almost like collateral. And it is a dark kind of like mafia-ish romance. I gave it a 4.5. I really like this. I originally read the first like half of the book, I think it was, or close to half, on Wattpad when the author Dana Isley had it on there, and I loved it, so I was intending to like this, and I did. The next book is The Dragon and the Queen by Kaitlyn Davis, and this I gave a 3.5. I can't really explain this. I literally cannot even explain the first book, except it is a fantasy book where we're in this world above where our characters have like the wings of birds, and those birds are linked to gods and abilities and all of that. That's kind of the gist of it, and I gave The Dragon and the Queen 3.5 stars. Oh my god, I'm just sweating so much. Because the magic system is really intense, and I should have reread the first two before I read this one, and I feel like I would have loved it a lot more. The next two I'm going to talk about together because it is book 2 and 3 in a series, and that is Torn by Jennifer L. Armentrout and then Brave by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is again the second and third book in the Wicked series. I gave Torn 5 stars. I loved it. I gave Brave 4 stars. It was okay. So essentially, the first book, Wicked, we follow Ivy Morgan, who is a college student who works for this organization called the Order, and the Order is essentially humans that are trained enough to handle Fae, because there is Fae in the world, and essentially that's kind of what it is. And this is a like new adult fantasy romance setting like book, and I did like Torn. I think Torn is my favorite in the series. Brave is my least favorite because I don't know, everything almost was like expected, or I just didn't enjoy as much. But I still love this series. I still love Jennifer L. Armentrout as an author, like one of my favorite authors, I have to say. I really love Ivy as a main character because she's just very like, I don't know, relatable, I guess. And then I love the love interest of Ren, like just top notch. Next we have Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, and this I gave 5 stars. This is my all-time favorite book. This was my fourth time reading through it, and I even annotated it. So like I was like writing in it, like the dedication, one of my favorite dedications ever I wrote, like I was writing in it, annotating. I love this. This we follow Alex Claremont Diaz, who is the first son of the President of the USA, the first ever female president, and Henry, who is the Prince of Wales, and they go from a, they hate each other to, they have to fake a friendship to, they form a real friendship to a relationship forms, and it's them kind of navigating this, originally it's like friends with benefits, and then feelings arrive, and it's them having to navigate just everything. And I love this, like this, I literally cannot describe how much I love this. I just love it. Take a shot every time I say love it about this book, I guess. Next we have Voice of Darkness by A.G. Hauser, and this I DNF'd. This is a young adult, I think it's meant to be young adult, borderline new adult, I think. And it's essentially, we have, we're in a world where kind of magic is banned, but then we have a character who is secretly doing magic, a character who discovers that she has magic, and then I cannot remember the other character point of view. We have 3 point of views, and what I read I did like, but I just wasn't in the mood for that kind of book. At the time, like I signed up for an ARC a few months ago, and a few months ago when I wanted the ARC, it was like really excited, but then now I'm just kind of like, it's okay, like I will try to read it within the next few months because I did like it. I just wasn't in the mood for a fantasy book at that exact moment when I picked it up. Next we have Blood Crown by Torri Heat and Elizabeth Brown, and this is a fantasy romance where we have Ashira, who is the queen of this country. She overthrew the previous leader and has taken control, and now all of the kings of the other like regions have to, like, she invited them to form these bonds. She is one of the few leaders of the country who disregard slavery and all of that, and as these leaders arrive, how do I word this? Essentially it's like mating bonds snap in. Ashira is a succubus, so she can have multiple mates. Mates exist in this world, and it is very smutty, literally every single chapter. I kid you not, every single chapter has smut. And it's not just like one-on-one, there's group scenes, and there's even group scenes where her love interests bone. Like, it's just very smutty, the smuttiest thing I've ever read, and I'm so excited for. I think it's called War Crown, that comes out in October, and I'm like, give me, give me, give me, because I love these characters. I gave this a 4.5. I really liked it. Put it this way, I think I almost had to say, I think there's too much sex in this book, because it was just so much, so heavy, so good. I'm gonna stop talking about this now, but like, anything with smut at this point, I'm just like, give me. We go from the most dark and smuttiest thing to the most wholesome and adorable thing, and that being Heartstopper Volume 4 by Alice Oseman. I had no idea that they would be in this order. Oh my gosh. So Heartstopper Volume 4 is the 4th volume in the Heartstopper graphic novel series, where we follow Nick and Charlie. Charlie is openly gay in this all-boys school, and Nick befriends Charlie, and it's them becoming friends, and then Nick realizing that he might have feelings for Charlie and having to figure out his sexuality. And in this 4th volume, kind of, I guess, spoilers, they're dating, and Charlie is going through a difficult time as he is struggling with some mental health issues and anorexia. And this I cried. I literally cried so much. I love this with all of my heart. This technically isn't out in the US or Canada. So originally I thought I wasn't going to be able to read this till December, but I bought it off a book depository, and it's the best purchase I've made, I think, in the last few months. Like, I loved it. 5 stars. I think this might be my favorite in the series. It's either this one or number 3, I think, are my favorite. I am so excited to see where this, like, series ends in Volume 5, because it is confirmed by Alice Oseman that Volume 5 will be the last one, but it is not written yet. She hasn't even started writing it, so yeah. But I love this. Definitely trigger warnings for, like anorexia and, like, eating disorders and mental health and all of that. Like, I love this. Next we have One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Yes, I read both of Casey McQuiston's books this month. This I gave a 5 star. This we follow August, who moves to New York City and becomes a waitress at a, like, pancake place. But she has to take this train called the Q every day to work, and she notices that there is this girl on the train every single time, and that girl is Jane. And it is revealed that Jane is stuck in time from the 70s. So she's from the 70s, but placed in the year 2020, I think this book is set in. And it is August and Jane becoming friends, developing a relationship, and then trying to figure out how to get Jane off the train and back to the 70s, or staying in 2020. And I love this. Sapphic, obviously, and I love this. And just, I don't know, I just love this. Like, yeah. Next we have Bonded Fate by Beck Micheals, and this is an arc. This is not released until August 3rd, I think. And this is the 2nd book in the Guardians of Maiden series. I gave this 5 stars. The first book, Divine Blood, we follow Dinah, who, every 10 years there is this shadow that enters a village, and her small village, and kills all of the children and anybody that gets in the way. It's been 9 years since the shadow has arrived, and she's determined to find a way to defeat the shadow demon. So she sets on a quest to find something. On this quest, her cousin Zev, who is a werewolf, joins, and then they stumble across Cassiel, who is a celestial, which is essentially kind of like an angel, and the 3 of them set off on this adventure, and it's a jam-packed adventure. The 2nd book, Bonded Fate, is a lot. It's a lot. That's all I can explain. I loved this book so much. Loved it more than the first one. There are so many moments that I had to, like, look back and I was like, I'm sorry, what just happened? The ending broke me. I literally was crying. And it left off on a huge cliffhanger, and I'm just like, why do I have to wait? I want the third book, even though the second book isn't released yet. I love this book. Next I read Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas, and this I gave 5 stars. This is a new adult contemporary romance where we have Misha and Ren, who are pen pals from childhood, but when they are in their final year of high school, they accidentally meet. Misha knows who Ren is. Ren has no idea that who she meets is Misha, and it's a bully romance that is like really good. I'm trying to figure out how to describe it without like saying this, but like I love this. Like, I normally am not really for like the bully romance type thing, but like this book is making me kind of reevaluate that that genre, and I'm just like, I might need to check it out because it's so twisted and so good. Let's just say, if you've read this book, the truck scene, all I'm gonna say, love that. Next up, this is Eliza Time War by Amal, El-Mohtar, and Max Gladstone. This I DNF'd at about 19%, which is about 40 pages, and I just like couldn't get into it. I was literally like zoning out reading, thinking just like, what am I gonna make for food after this? What am I gonna do tomorrow? Like, I just was zoning out so much, and it's just not for me. That's all I can say, is it's just not for me. It's a sci-fi where we have two people on the opposite sides of a war writing letters to each other. And there's like time travel, and that's all I can explain really. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, 5 stars. I love this. This is, how do I even describe this? Essentially, it is the kind of the story of Achilles and Patroclus in like ancient Greece, and I literally cannot describe it because I'm lost for words on this book. This broke my heart. The last, like, I think it was like 2 or 3 chapters, I was just in a constant state of sobbing because of how sad it is. The final line literally had me crying for like 10 minutes. We see it from Patroclus' point of view, his entire life, and I guess most of Achilles' life, because all of that, and just the way, the undying love that Achilles and Patroclus have for each other. I'm like, I strive to have somebody that will love me that much, and this features war and violence and a lot of heavy topics, I guess, but I love this. I get why everyone loves this, and it's not a new favorite, but it is one that I do love and am mad at myself for not reading sooner. And the final book I read was Ricochet by Candace M. Wright, and this is a kind of dark romance, I guess, where we have Vidi, who at 14 years old, murdered her future stepfather and burned down the house and escaped and lived on the street until this person called the Zodiac recruited her as a drug runner, and then we are 6 years later at 21 where she becomes the leader of a sector of a city that is full of crime and all of that, I guess. This is like the most like not my kind of book, but I was just looking for like a dark romance, a little bit smutty, and this happened to have it. And okay, I just want to read a thing that I thought I wrote it down. Anytime there's something funny in a book, or like something funny I say, this is like what I wrote down. I was gonna throw out my morals and read Credence by Penelope Douglas, which has step-uncle and step-cousin, but I accidentally signed myself up for identical twin brothers instead. That's like all I have to say is like, the thing is, I knew that, but I didn't. It was like something I forgot. Like, it's, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna sound like a maniac. But like, I guess it's like she has multiple love interests, but we don't realize until about 70% in the book that she has multiple love interests. And it's just very weird, and like, I definitely don't recommend it. I gave it 3 stars. Like, it's dark. There was just some things that were just kind of like, I'm sorry, what, huh? So, like, I'm just gonna, like, leave that there. It was just, like, so insane, almost. Wasn't as smutty as I wanted it to, but, like, definitely, it has definitely, trigger warnings for, like, violence, sexual assault, what else? There's probably more. Definitely check out the trigger warnings because, let's just say there's also a new word in my vocabulary that I did not know what it meant up until now, and I'm like, oh, I didn't need to know that definition. So those were all the books, well, all of the books minus the first sums that I read in this month. I'm sorry for this video being so long. I just had so many thoughts to say, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you've read this month. I love to hear that in the comments below. All of the books mentioned will be in the description below, as well as, again, a link to my mid-month wrap-up. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!